हाथ कनक पिचकारी,
कौन के हाथ कनक पिचकारी,
ओ कौन के हाथ कनक पिचकारी,
कौन के हाथ कनक पिचकारी,
ओ कौन के हाथ में रोरी रे रसिया,
कौन के हाथ में रोरी रे रसिया,
ओ कौन के हाथ में रोरी रे रसिया,
कौन के हाथ में रोरी रे रसिया,
ओ कृष्ण के हाथ कनक पिचकारी,
कृष्ण के हाथ कनक पिचकारी,
ओ कृष्ण के हाथ कनक पिचकारी,
कृष्ण के हाथ कनक पिचकारी,
ओ राधा के हाथ में रोरी रे रसिया,
राधा के हाथ में रोरी रे रसिया,
ओ राधा के हाथ में रोरी रे रसिया,
राधा के हाथ में रोरी रे रसिया,
ओ होरी रे होरी रे होरी रे होरी रे बर चोरी रे रसिया,
होरी रे वर जोरी रे रसिया,
ओ आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
ओ आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
आज बीरज में
होरी है
रसिया,
होरी है बर चोरी रे रसिया,
होरी रे वर जोरी रे रसिया,
ओ होरी रे बर चोरी रे रसिया,
होरी रे वर जोरी रे रसिया,
ओ होरी रे बर चोरी रे रसिया,
होरी रे वर जोरी रे रसिया,
ओ आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
आज बीरज में
होरी है
रसिया,
आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
ओ उड़त गुलाल लाल भय बादर,
उड़त गुलाल लाल भय बादल,
लाल लाल ब्रज छोरी रे रसिया,
लाल लाल ब्रज छोरी रे रसिया,
ओ लाल लाल ब्रज छोरी रे रसिया,
लाल लाल ब्रज छोरी रे रसिया,
ओ बलि बलि जाओ राधे कृष्ण छवि,
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 ओ जुग जुग जिए जुग जुग जिए यह चोरी रे रसिया,
जुग जुग जिए यह जोरी रे रसिया,
ओ जुग जुग जिए यह चोरी रे रसिया,
जुग जुग जिए यह जोरी रे रसिया,
ओ आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
ओ आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
ओ नंद गांव का छोरा है बरसाने की छोरी है, हो होरी है, ओ नंद गांव का छोरा है बरसाने की छोरी है, हो होरी है, ओ मनगढ़ का छोरा है लीलापुर की छोरी है, हो होरी है, होरी है, ओ आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
आज बीरज में होरी रे रसिया,
ओ आज बीरज बिरज में होरी रे रसिया,
आज बिरज में होरी रे रसिया।
होरी के रसिया की जय।
बोलो लाडली लाल की। प्रपन्नाहं सदा श्यामा गुरु पादारविन्दयो तस्य प्रेरणया तस्य दिव्यादेशं वदाम्यहम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनम् देवकी परमानन्दम् कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्मंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। The Divine Souls. We're continuing today with the explanation of Kripalu Trayodashi. This is part 3 of 3, so we'll be covering the final 3 dohas from doha 10 through 13. Radhe Radhe Govind Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe
Radhe Radhe Govind
Govind Radhe 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 Govind Govind Radhe Kripalu Trayodashi is one of the writings of Jagadguru Shri Kripaluji Maharaj. His writings are extensive and his lectures are also extensive. And in all of those writings and lectures, he always tells the essence of Ved, Upanishad, Gita, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, and all our other scriptures of Sanatan Dharm. This Kripalu Trayodashi is the condensed essence of all of that. Shri Maharajji produced this group of 13 dohas to represent his explanation of the philosophy of Sanatan Dharm in a very brief format, so that if there was ever any doubt about how Shri Maharajji interpreted or represented the philosophy of our Sanskrit scriptures, one could refer back to this Kripalu Trayodashi and see in a very brief form how Shri Maharajji explained it. In the first 9 dohas, we learned, first of all, that there are 3 eternal entities: God, souls, and Maya. None of the 3 has ever been created, and none of the 3 can ever be destroyed. All three have been here forever and will continue to be here forever. Out of those three, God is supreme. Souls and God are both Chetan, they are both alive and have a mind, but souls are not independent. God is independent. Souls depend upon God because God resides within each soul and gives life to that soul. Whereas the soul is Chetan, Bhagwan is Maha-Chetan. Chetanash Chetananam. Shvetashvatropanishad. God is the life of every soul. So He is the soul of our soul. Because of this, souls are said to be a power of God. And in fact, that power is given a specific name, Jiva Shakti. All the souls together make up Shri Krishna's Jiva Shakti, or soul power. We also say that souls are a part of Shri Krishna, or ansh of Shri Krishna, because we are a part of his Jiva Shakti. We are not a piece of him, a fraction of him. We are a fraction of his Jiva Shakti. But for short, sometimes we just say we are ansh of him. But we are vibhinnansh. We are an indirect ansh of him. Because a direct ansh of him is Vishnu, Shiva, Durga, all the forms of God are a direct ansh of Shri Krishna. So souls are dependent upon him and they are called his power. Another power, Maya. Maya is also considered to be a power of God. It cannot exist or do anything on its own. God has to activate it. God is the base upon which Maya exists, and God is omnipresent within the Mayic universe. So Maya is also completely dependent upon God and is his power. Souls are also completely dependent upon God and are a part of his power. Souls, however, do have free will. God does not control what we do with the power that he gives us. And Maya also has its own inborn qualities, which manifest automatically as the characteristics of this world. Pairs of opposites, day and night, the cycle of the seasons, health and disease, birth and death. These are the inborn qualities of Maya. Or because Maya has these inborn opposite qualities just baked into it since eternity, so when Maya expands into the form of the universe, all these characteristics are manifested, all these pairs of opposites which oscillate and cycle eternally. There's a third power, Swarup Shakti, God's personal power. That is the supreme power. Those, when we say ansh, there are two kinds of ansh. I told about us, the souls. We're vibhinnansh because we're a part of his soul power. But there are those that are a part of his Swarup Shakti. That is called swansh. Those are a direct ansh of Shri Krishna. Or you can say those are Shri Krishna himself appearing in those other forms. So this Swarup Shakti is the supreme power, and all the forms of God are ansh of this Swarup Shakti. And Shri Krishna is the Shaktiman. He is the owner of and base of Swarup Shakti. Souls and God have some commonalities, like we're eternal and he's eternal, and he is Chetan and we are Chetan. However, in terms of knowledge and bliss, there's a big difference. What we can say, Sat Chit Anand. Our life is distorted due to our affiliation with Maya. So we keep having to leave our body and take a new body. We die and are reborn over and over again. whereas God has perfect eternal life. We have limited or almost no true knowledge, and God is the very form of perfect divine knowledge. And we are afflicted with all kinds of desires and mental problems, and God is the very form of perfect divine happiness. So there's a big difference between us and God. However, we can become like God if we attain Him. Then He gives us Swarup Shakti. We end our affiliation with Maya Shakti, and now we become Swarup Shakti Yukta. If we do that, then we attain perfect happiness. Then we get the unlimited Sat, unlimited Chit, and unlimited Anand that Shri Krishna has, and we become perfectly happy forever. However, that can only happen through His grace. One cannot know God or attain God on their own. Only when we receive Shri Krishna's grace can we attain Him and know Him. And His grace is received through surrender. The one who surrenders to Him receives His grace. Surrender means opening the mind to receive the grace that is already being showered upon us. Surrendering means turning our mind towards Shri Krishna. We have eternally been turned away from Him. And since we are turned away from Him, we are bereft of His grace, and we have that affiliation with Maya, or you can say Maya has us under bondage. But if we turn towards Him, in other words, we surrender to Him with His grace, that Mayic bondage is eliminated and we become God-realized. Another word for surrender is bhakti. But bhakti is something that has to be practiced. This is where I left off yesterday. Becoming surrendered is not something that happens in one moment, unless you became 99.9999% surrendered in your last life, and then in this life it takes you one moment. Some God-realized saint tells you, all you have to do is surrender to Krishna and you'll receive His grace, and in that moment you surrendered and got God-realized. But for most of us, we have longer to go. We have a larger percentage remaining. Becoming sanmukh, turning towards Him, is a gradual process. So some of us might be 5% there, or 10% there, or 50% there, but we have a ways to go. The process through which we continuously increase our surrender to Shri Krishna is called bhakti. And it's called Sadhana Bhakti because it has to be practiced. Sadhan is something you do in order to attain a goal. Sadhana Bhakti means the devotion we have to practice in order to become surrendered to Shri Krishna. Bhakti revainam nayati, bhakti revainam darshayati, bhakti revainam pashyati, bhakti vasha purusho, bhakti reva bhuyasi. Ved says bhakti is the only means of attaining God. There is no other way. Bhaktyatvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna gyatum drashtuncha tatvena praveshtuncha parantap naham vedairna tapasa na danena na chejyaya shakya evam vidho drashtum drishtavanasi mam yatha. Gita. Shri Krishna says, I'm not attainable through any other practice, whether it be karma, gyan, yoga, tapasya, whatever it may be. They all fail. Bhakti is required in order to allow the soul to become completely surrendered to Shri Krishna. Nasadhayati mam yogo nasankyam dharma uddhava na swadhyayastapastyago yatha bhaktir mamorjita bhaktyahame grahya shraddhayatma priya satam bhakti punati mannishtha shvapakanapi sambhavat. Bhagavatam, Shri Krishna tells Uddhav, I'm not attainable through any other practice of karma, dharma, jnana, yoga, tapasya, swadhyay, renunciation, anything. I'm only grahya, I'm only attainable through bhakti. So bhakti is the only means of attaining Shri Krishna, and only by attaining him can we get perfect happiness. But we have to know how to practice bhakti. We've all done bhakti. How many hours in this life and how many uncountable hours in all of our past lives? And we observe other people doing bhakti as well. But are we all becoming God realized? No. Very few people become God realized because very few people understand exactly how bhakti is to be practiced. Whatever sadhana you are doing, there's always a correct way and an incorrect way to do it. If you want to learn tabla and you just think, okay, I'm going to sit down in front of this instrument and start banging away, your teacher will come and say, no, no, no. Hold this hand like this, hold this hand like this. The teacher will strictly show you exactly, okay, this is how you make na, this is how you make tin, this is how you make ga. And it's very precise. If you hit it wrong, the teacher says, no, that's not right. Fix that, or you'll never learn tabla. No matter what you want to learn in this life, there are rules. You have to learn how to do it properly. And we think, oh, I'll just do bhakti any which way. Whatever it may be, I'm doing bhakti, then we'll just get whatever it may be result as well. We need to have our focus exactly on the goal we want to get. So in this next doha, doha number 10, Shri Maharajji has given the essence of the rules for doing devotion. He says, Bhakti man se ho nitya Govinda Radhe. So in this doha, he actually gives 4 rules. The first one is man se. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. This statement comes in dozens of our scriptures. And what it means is, mind alone is responsible for a soul being under the bondage of Maya or becoming God realized. I already explained that to you. If our man is vimukh from Krishna, then we're turned towards Maya, and Maya has us under bondage. And if our man is sanmukh towards Shri Krishna, then we receive his grace and the bondage of Maya is eliminated. So it is the mind alone which must do devotion, because it is the mind alone that must become surrendered, because the mind is the vessel into which his grace is received. This means that although we may practice hours of physical devotion, the true value of that devotion can only be known if one can analyze how much time the mind was in Shri Krishna during that time. We may do 12 hours of kirtan, and if during those 12 hours our mind was in Krishna for 5 minutes, then we got 5 minutes of benefit. 5 minutes of real bhakti. The rest was, well, it looked like bhakti from the outside, but what was going on the inside? See, Kripaluji Maharaj says we have to do Roop Dhyan. That means forming the image of Radha Krishna when we're worshipping them. whatever you're thinking of, you generally form the image of that thing in your mind. Therefore, if you're thinking of Radha Krishna, you must be doing their Roop Dhyan, forming their image. And if you're not doing Roop Dhyan, it means your mind is doing Roop Dhyan of something else, for sure. Doing Roop Dhyan of your mother, your father, your kids, your car, your boss, whatever it may be, wherever the mind has gone, if it's not in Radha Krishna, it's somewhere in the world, and whatever we're thinking of, that is what we get the result of. We don't get the result of clapping our hands. But clapping your hands helps you keep your mind in God. That's why we clap our hands when we're doing the kirtan. Singing the kirtan helps us keep our mind in God. That's why we sing the kirtan. But we're not getting the benefit of the words we've spoken, or clapping the hands, or even being physically present in the temple. We won't be rewarded for any of that. We only get the result of where our mind is. So if we're sitting in the kirtan thinking that, oh, the NBA season got canceled, I won't get to watch basketball, then you're getting the result of doing Roop Dhyan of basketball. You're not getting, Krishna doesn't even make a note that you did any kind of devotion. Only when your mind is in Him, He gives the result of that devotion, which purifies your mind and brings you closer to becoming fully surrendered to Him. So devotion must be done with the mind. This is the first rule of devotion. Rule number 2 is it must be nitya. It must be all the time. Lakshanam bhakti yogasya nirgunasya hyudahritam ahaitukya pratihata yayatma ya bhakti purushottame. In the Bhagavatam, Bhagwan Kapil is explaining bhakti to his mother, Devahuti. And he says, there are some characteristics of bhakti or rules of bhakti. And one of them, well, let me backtrack one more. He says, just like the mind, just like Gangaji flows continuously towards the ocean, similarly, the thoughts must flow continuously towards Radha Krishna. Yatha Gangam Bhasom Budhau. Just like Gangaji flows continuously towards the ocean, there should be a continuous flow of loving thoughts from our mind to God. So here he's included these first 2 shart. It must be done with the mind, and it should be continuous. So in that other shlok I quoted for you, he said, apratihata, without break, continuous. Why does it have to be without a break? Because only then is it genuine bhakti. Bhakti means love for Shri Krishna. Do you take breaks from loving your kids? Do you take breaks from loving people that you're really attached to, where you just say, okay, I'm going to love them from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., and then I'll just forget about them for the whole rest of the day, and then I'll love them again maybe for half an hour before I sleep? No, the one that you love, your mind is attached to them, and they stay in your mind all the time. That's genuine love. Even, let's say you're a computer programmer, and at work it takes all of your focus to perform your job correctly. Even then, even though your intellect is fully involved in that task, your heart never forgets your kids for a second. You never forget, I'm a mother or I'm a father, because that deep connection is there. Right now, we don't have such a deep connection to Radha Krishna. That's why we find it unnatural to try to remember them throughout the day. But if we keep trying, if we keep practicing Rup Dhyan every day, where we set aside some time away from all activities and we sit with some kirtan and we do Rup Dhyan. That strengthens our connection to Radha Krishna. So eventually we get that natural ability to remember them throughout the day. But until that becomes natural, we need to implement some techniques to forcefully make us remember them throughout the day. So Shri Kripaluji Maharaj says, throughout the day, take breaks at a 1-hour interval, where you stop what you're doing just for 3 or 4 seconds, and you remember, okay, Krishna is with me, I'm not alone. Then go back to your work. In this way, we have to try to get to that point where our remembrance of Shri Krishna is continuous. So this is Nitya. Nitya is important because if you're only loving Krishna during the time you're sitting and doing Rup Dhyan, when you dedicate some time for devotion, then the rest of the day, the other 23 hours, where is your mind? It's in the world. So while your mind was in Krishna, it was getting cleaned. And now it went back to the world, you're undoing that cleansing process. You're adding more impurities into the mind. God is divine. He is the divine cleansing agent. And the world is the impurity that our mind is already full of. So we want to clean out the mind so that we can become pure and we can surrender to Krishna. The mind only gets cleaned during that time that our mind is in Krishna. This is why it's important to keep the mind in Him all the time. Na chalati bhagavat padarvinda lavanimi shardhamapiya savaishnavagriya. Bhagavatam. A true devotee keeps their mind in the lotus feet of Shri Krishna all the time. The mind doesn't deviate even for a fraction of a second. So, now you've understood the first 2 rules of devotion. It must be done with the mind, which means we have to practice Rup Dhyan, and it must be continuous. It should be a natural state of love for Krishna, not just a formality. Katham vinaro maharsham dravata vacetasa vina vinanandashru kalaya shuddhyed bhaktya vinashaya. A quote from the Bhagavatam, which is on this panel above your heads. Shri Krishna tells Uddhav, the mind can only be purified by loving devotion, not by just physical formalities of devotion. When you remember Him, your heart should melt. Tears of longing to meet Him should flow from your eyes, and you should feel a thrill in your body that gives you goosebumps. That's the real devotion. Now, let's move on to the 3rd rule of devotion. Bhav Nishkam. Kapil Bhagwan said, Nirgunasya Hyudahritam. O Mother, devotion to Shri Krishna should be without any demands. We shouldn't expect Him to give us anything. True devotion is loving Krishna, not asking things from Him. If you wonder why you've been practicing devotion your whole life and many lifetimes, uncountable lifetimes before that, and haven't attained Him yet, why? We must not have known or applied these rules. Either we forgot that devotion has to be done with the mind, or we forgot it should be continuous, or we forgot that we shouldn't ask Him for anything. Because if we're asking Him for something, then our mind is not in Him, is it? It's in the thing we're asking for. If you go to a doctor and beg the doctor, please make a house call. Come, my son is very ill, his fever is very high. Please come, you fall at his feet, you're clutching his feet and crying. It looks like you have great bhakti for the doctor. But you don't love the doctor, you love your son. You want to use the doctor in order to keep your son healthy. Similarly, when we ask God for the world, we don't love God, we love the world. The proof is that we're not saying, Krishna, I want you, I want to meet you, I want to have your darshan. We're saying, give me this worldly thing. That is not devotion at all. So true devotion is joining the mind with Shri Krishna out of love, with a desire to meet him, and just surrendering to him. Whatever you want to give me, I'm not going to interfere in that. My job is to love you and become surrendered to you. You give me something or don't give me anything, that doesn't matter to me. That's true devotion. That's called nishkamata. So now you've understood 3. Devotion must be done with the mind, devotion must be continuous, and devotion must be selfless, without any demand from God. And finally, devotion must be ananya. Ananyāścintayanto māṁ ye janā paryupāsate teshām nityabhiyuktānām yogakshemam vahamyaham. True devotion is to one form of God. Although, as you learned yesterday and the day before, all the forms of God are one. They should not be viewed as separate. In fact, that's an offense to do so. We have to understand that there is only one God, but who manifests himself in many forms. Nonetheless, God is attained by those who focus on one form and say, I want to attain you in this form. Then all of your devotional feelings are focused on that one form and they develop more quickly. When we're trying to worship all the forms as if we're completing a checklist, oh, I have to do this worship and that worship and that worship, I got to cover all my bases, yani kani cha mitrani. Just like it's good to have many friends, in case one lets you down, you can rely on the other one. So if Hanumanji doesn't give me what I want, Durgaji may. And if she doesn't, then Shivji may. That's not devotion. We have to focus on one form of God. This is ananyata. Look at the history of saints. All the saints worshipped one form of God. Ramakrishna Paramahansa worshipped Durgaji. Tulsidas worshipped Ram. Meera worshipped Krishna. Nobody worshipped multiple forms of God, and nobody taught to worship multiple forms of God, nor does it teach that anywhere in our scriptures. Our scriptures teach that there are unlimited forms of God, but you choose one and dedicate yourself completely to that form of God. This is ananyata. And also, an aspect of ananyata is understanding that we should not worship the devtas in Swarg like Indra, Navgraha Devta, Agni, Vayu. These Vedic rituals, which do teach to worship those forms of Mayic powers, they are only for those who wish to go to Swarg, which is within the Mayic realm. They are not for those who wish to attain God. So those who wish to attain God should worship Supreme God and not the Devtas. We don't disrespect them either, but we don't worship them. We worship only Shri Krishna, or whatever form of God you wish to attain. This is ananyata. So now you can analyze yourself. Out of these 4 rules, is there even one that you're following? Be honest with yourself. Out of those 4, devotion must be done with the mind. Devotion should be continuous. We should not ask God for anything, and we should be ananya, exclusive in our devotion. So if you're following none, then you know why you haven't succeeded yet. If you're following even 3, and one of them is not being followed, even that is enough to undermine your devotion and cause you not to make any progress. So we have to follow all the rules in order to get the correct benefit and the desired outcome. And if we are following all the rules correctly, then the progress starts to be observed. Gradually, we start to see that our heart is being purified, our love for Radha Krishna is growing, and our attachment in the world is reducing, which means we're becoming more and more sanmukh. So this is the very important 10th doha, which tells us the rules of sadhana bhakti. Bhakti man se ho nitya Govind Radhe bhav nishkam ananya bata de.
Bhakti man se ho nitya Govind Radhe bhav nishkam ananya bata de.
Bhav nishkam ananya bata de.
Nishkam ananya bata de.
Bhav nishkam ananya bata de.
Nishkam ananya bata de.
Bhakti man se ho nitya Govind Radhe bhav nishkam ananya bata de.
Bhakti man se ho nitya Govind Radhe bhav nishkam ananya bata de.
Dohas 11 and 12 tell what happens at the time of God realization. So this is not practiced by us. When we have practiced sadhana bhakti and become completely surrendered to Shri Krishna, then imi mana shuddha hoto, as soon as your mind is purified, manako swarup shakti divya banade. Remember I told you when we surrender to Shri Krishna, we receive His grace. His grace means we receive Swarup Shakti, His personal power. So then we become Swarup Shakti Yukt. I told you, even after God realization, we are still a part of His soul power. We don't become God. We're still souls who are ansh of His Jiva Shakti. But whereas previously we were affiliated with Maya because we were turned away from Him, so Maya had us under bondage. And affiliated with Maya means we had a Mayic body, Mayic senses, Mayic mind. Now we're free from Maya. So our body, senses, and mind become divine. In other words, they become made of Swarup Shakti, whereas before they were made of Maya Shakti. Now we have become Swarup Shakti Yukt. A short way of saying this is, our body, senses, and mind become divine. Then what happens? Then we can receive the ultimate divine power. I was telling you that God has unlimited powers. Shri Krishnera Ananta Shakti Tate Tin Pradhan. Maya Shakti, Jeev Shakti, Chit Shakti Nam. These three powers, Maya Shakti, Jeev Shakti, and here referred to as Chit Shakti, but it's the same, Swarup Shakti. Out of those three, Antaranga Swarup Shakti Savar Upare. Swarup Shakti is supreme. You already learned that. And I also told you that Swarup Shakti manifests itself in three ways. The power of almightiness, Sandhini Shakti, Sat affiliation. The power of knowledge, Samvit Shakti, Chit affiliation. And the power of bliss, Ahladini Shakti, Anand affiliation. Out of those three, Sat, Chit, Anand, Anand is supreme. Therefore, the Anand affiliated power, Ahladini Shakti, is supreme. Ta sva Ahladini variyasi, Radhikopanishad says. Ahladini Shakti is supreme. So, Swarup Shakti is God's personal power. And within Swarup Shakti as well, the essence of Swarup Shakti is the power of bliss, Ahladini Shakti. Ahladini Shaktera Paramasar Taro Premanam. But the essence of Ahladini Shakti is Prem. Shri Krishna's divine love is the essence of his power of bliss, which is the essence of his personal power. So Prema Shakti is the quintessence of all the powers. The absolute supreme power is this power of divine love. And it is once we receive that power of divine love that we become perfectly blissful and we experience our eternal relationship with Radha Krishna in a divine way through this Prema Shakti. So the Prema Shakti is the ultimate goal, the ultimate thing. There's nothing beyond that. Pancham Purushartha Sei Prem Mahadhan. Purushartha Shiromani Sei Prem Mahadhan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji says, divine love, Prem, is the ultimate goal, even beyond the four traditional goals of human life, Dharm, Arth, Kam, Moksha. So this Prem, it's the ultimate power. It can't be given to us. Although here, Kripaluji Maharaj says, Guru Hladini Sar Prem. So, Tab Divya Man Mein De. Now that our mind has become divine through Swarup Shakti, then Guru can give us that Prema Shakti. Not before then. It's the ultimate power. Are you going to hold fire in a paper bag? No. So you can't hold that ultimate divine power in a material, Mayic mind. Impossible. If Guru just gave it to you, you would vaporize that instant. There'd be nothing left to find. Where'd he go? I don't know. Guruji just put his hand on his head and he disappeared. That's the power of that Prema Shakti. So the vessel has to be ready to receive it. It's said that a tigress's milk can only stay fresh in a golden container. You put it in any other container, it spoils. So our container has to be correct. The container means the mind. So mind is purified through practicing Sadhana Bhakti. Then once we become fully surrendered, we receive Swarup Shakti, our mind becomes divine, and into that divine mind, Guru gives Prema Shakti. So Guru not only teaches us the philosophy in the beginning, and teaches us how to practice devotion, Guru also is there at the end. It is actually Krishna's grace, care of the Guru, through the Guru, that eliminates the bondage of Maya, gives us the Swarup Shakti, divinizes our mind, and ultimately gives us that prem. And as we heard in the lecture early this morning from Shri Maharajji, this is analogous to finishing all the wiring and fittings, electrical fittings in your house before connecting to the powerhouse. If you haven't put any switches or light bulbs or completed the wiring, and then you say, hey, powerhouse, why aren't my lights working? The powerhouse will say, look, I have the power ready to give in an instant. Finish all your wiring and finish all the fittings. Get yourself ready. And then you connect the power, and at the speed of light, electricity travels. It's the same with the power the Guru has. Guru is God realized. So the Guru has Krishna's power, and he can give it in an instant, not even as long as it takes light to travel. It's instantaneous. As the moment a soul's mind is completely purified. So purifying our mind is analogous to finishing all the wiring and the fittings. Finish that first, then connect to the powerhouse. Purify your mind, then Guru's just waiting to give us that divine power. As soon as we are ready, he gives it. So here Shri Maharajji has made that beautifully clear. Imi mana shuddha ho to man ko swarup shakti divya bana de, tab divya man mein de, Guru hladini sar prem bata de. We purify our mind, and then Guru gives us the Swarup Shakti, which makes our mind divine, and then Guru gives us the Prema Shakti, which makes us blissful forever. But there's one more thing to understand about what our truly ultimate goal is, and what is the reason we want to attain that Prema Shakti. I'll explain that in the final Doha after we chant these. Imi man shuddha ho to Govind Radhe, man ko swarup shakti divya bana de.
Man shuddha ho to Govind Radhe, man ko swarup shakti divya bana de.
Man shuddha ho to Govind Radhe, man ko swarup shakti divya bana de.
Man shuddha ho to Govind Radhe, man ko swarup shakti divya bana de.
Man ko swarup shakti divya bana de.
Man ko swarup shakti divya bana de.
Tab divya man mein de Govind Radhe, Guru hladini sar prem bata de.
Tab divya man mein de Govind Radhe, Guru hladini sar
प्रेम बता दे। To say that our true identity is that we are a soul is an incomplete description. Jivera swarupa hoy Krishnera nitya das. Our identity is not just that we are a soul, but since we are ansh of Shri Krishna, we are his natural servant. Dasa bhutamidam tasya jagat sthavara jangamam Shriman Narayana Swami Prabhutam Prabhurishwara Jagatam Prabhurishwara. Padma Purana says every living being, every soul is Shri Krishna's eternal servant. Normally when we hear servitude, we think of enforced servitude. Nobody likes having a boss. We want to be the boss. We don't want to serve somebody else. We want someone to serve us. So it takes a little bit of getting used to this idea of what's good about being Krishna's servant. It's a different situation. Because he's the soul of our soul, you see, our body desires to serve our mind because the mind gives life to the body. Whatever your mind thinks, whatever your mind commands, your body naturally does it because the body is the natural servant of the mind. Soul gives life to the mind, so the mind is the natural servant of the soul. And the soul only wants one thing, happiness. So the mind continuously seeks happiness with no complaint. Has your mind ever said, I don't want to look for happiness? Well, your mind is busy looking for happiness 24 hours a day because it's the natural servant of the soul, because the soul gives life to the mind. Shri Krishna gives life to our soul, therefore our soul is the natural servant of Shri Krishna, and our soul would love to. Our soul would be so happy to get the chance to serve Shri Krishna. It's just that we've never given ourselves that chance. However, we get a little glimpse of that when we start practicing devotion without making any demands on Krishna, and instead we think, Tat Sukha Sukhitvam, Narad Bhakti Darshan. I want happiness, but I want to be happy in seeing Krishna happy. This is the essence of devotion, and this is the essence of Kripaluji Maharaj's philosophy. Shri Krishna Sukhaika Tatparyamayi Bhakti. Doing bhakti with the sole purpose of giving happiness to Shri Krishna. This is true devotion, and this is our true identity. Our soul wants that more than anything. Oh, how can I make Krishna happy? That means this is our true goal. This is the true ultimate goal of every soul, is to claim that birthright, that Krishna, I want to be your servant, but not the kind of servant who says, I want to do this kind of seva because I like doing that kind of seva. No, that means I'm trying to serve myself. I want to do whatever will make you happy. That's a sentiment, a devotional sentiment. And if we can cultivate that devotional sentiment, even while practicing devotion, before God realization, we can start to taste the sweetness of that nishkam bhakti, where we really genuinely feel the desire to serve Radha Krishna for their happiness. But Krishna is not to be outdone. If we desire to serve him for his happiness, then he desires to serve us for our happiness. Because ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham. Gita. Shri Krishna says, however you love me, I love you the same way in return. So then it becomes a competition to see who can make the other one happy. And that's why that prem goes on multiplying every moment. Because Krishna gives us his divine love. And we take that and we multiply it and we give it back to him. And he receives it and he multiplies it and gives it back to us. Pratikshana vardhamanam, Naradji says, prem is ever increasing for that reason. So our true goal and our true desire of our soul is to get that dasattva. Tab jiva pale nij Govind Radhe nitya dasattva adhikar bata de. Then we claim our right as Shri Krishna's eternal servant, but only after having received his prem. Before we receive his power of divine love, with what would we serve him? We can't serve him with our material body, or material mind, or material money. No material thing is of any benefit to him, and our soul already belongs to him. Then what can we serve him with? Only when we surrender to him and he gives us his prem. Then, amazingly, वो भी प्रेम के भूखे हैं, प्रेम के प्यासे हैं. Shri Krishna desires the love of his devotees. And whose love is it? It's none other than his love, his power of prem that he gave to the devotees, and he desires that. It's the miracle of the divine relationship between the soul and God, which we can't understand until we get there. But it's enough to know that when we receive his divine love, then we can serve him with that divine love, and he also serves us, and that is the ultimate status that a soul can attain, and the highest state of bliss as well. But keep in mind that as we do devotion, we always have to desire to see Krishna's happiness. And as long as we maintain that selflessness in our devotion, we'll be on the right track. So this is the Kripalu Trayodashi explained very briefly. And it's like Gagar mein sagar bhara hai. Each and every one of these dohas has an ocean of siddhant in it. But with the limited time that we had this weekend, I briefly explained the essence of this Kripalu Trayodashi. So let us chant this last doha. Tab jiva pale nij Govind Radhe nitya dasatva nitya dasatva adhikar bata de.
जीव पाले
निज गोविंद राधे नित्य दासत्व अधिकार बता दे।
सब जीव पाले निज गोविंद राधे नित्य दासत्व अधिकार बता दे।
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 राधे राधे गोविंद राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे 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 गोविंद गोविंद राधे।
राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद राधे राधे